All right, everyone. Years ago, Obama announced that the Treasury Department was going to try to get Harriet Tubman to replace Andrew Jackson on the $20 bill, the most used piece of currency in U.S. currency. We're not hyperinflated, so it's not Ulysses S. Grant that they're trying to replace yet. By the way, you should replace Grant. He was a shitty president by all accounts. I mean, yeah, okay, great in the Civil War, mostly, but yeah, had some problems. Didn't he order a trainload of onions for the Union troops at one point because he was like superstitious and thought that it would help him fight better? That might be an old wives' tale, but I'm pretty sure I read something about that somewhere once, and it's pretty funny. Here's the thing. I don't care about this issue very much, to the point where I was hesitant to even wonder whether I should make a video. Here's why. Harriet Tubman was not a political figure. She was an activistic figure, as opposed to virtually everyone else on the currency. You look at George Washington, president, first president. Thomas Jefferson, $2 bill, which most people have never seen. Lincoln. Who's that dude? Is it Hamilton on the 10? I can't remember. I should. I know I hear my U.S. History teacher screeching internally at the moment. And then you have Jackson, you have Ulysses S. Grant, you have Benjamin Franklin. I don't know who's on like the $1,000 bill. I can't remember. Here's the thing. They're all civic figures in the political sense. Benjamin Franklin, I think, being the only one on any of the bills that's not a former U.S. president. Benjamin Franklin, one of the major founding fathers, one of the most central figures in the Revolutionary period, so he gets a pass. Harriet Tubman was an activist. She wasn't a revolutionary figure, and she wasn't a president. All the others are. You look at the coins. Again, you've got like Lincoln and shit like that. It's the same story. Here's what I would say. It's sort of like every other time that they introduce like a dollar coin, which is a terrible idea anyway for so many reasons. It's always like Sacagawea or Susan B. Anthony. But the Susan B. Anthony dollar was cool. It's just people kept confusing them for quarters. They were too similar at the time, and so they had a problem. Those ones were cool. I used to collect them. I had over 100 of them. I ended up having to spend it. There was one that we were really poor and down and out. I had to get rid of all the Susan B. Anthony dollars because, a person's got to eat, basically. It was a really sad time. I had to sell off all the silver half dollars and shit like that, too. Still got a bitchin' coin collection, though. Trust me. I got some good shit. It's never like one of these civic figures for the most part. It's an activist or a Native American chieftain or something like that. And it just doesn't sort of take off. Here's the other side, though. Andrew Jackson would not have wanted to be on U.S. currency in the current economic form we use with central banking and stuff. He would find it appalling. He was a morbid opponent of ever establishing a centralized banking system. He would be absolutely appalled at the nation as it is today in some respects. He would say, my goodness, so the government so corporations empowered by the government tell people what to say and they won't let you have cannons and stuff like that? What's this whack-ass government? He would think that they were weak pansies and probably take up arms or some crazy shit. He was a little bit of an actual fanatic at the time. He used to get like roaring drunk and smash up bars with his bros. At one point he got like a 1-ton block of cheese, and in the summer heat it started to smell bad, so his wife complained so much. His wife that I think he was committing bigamy with, if I remember correctly, or something along that, or he was proclaimed to. Or adultery or eloping, I can't remember, and shot some dude over it actually at the time. He shot multiple men in duels and killed them. And so he invited all like the poor people from the area to come and eat the cheese. And apparently years and years later, like in later administrations, that the storage room still smelled like cheese like almost 100 years later. It was that stinky in the summer heat. But Jackson wouldn't want to be on the 20. So yeah, replacing him, it's a no-brainer. They should replace Grant too, because Grant was it's not like George Washington. Okay, first president. Thomas Jefferson, you've got the Louisiana Purchase, by all means, again, a great president. Second, taking us through, I think he was the third president of the United States, I believe. Adams was second, Alien and Sedition Act, Adams, and then got booted out by Jefferson because he was a moron, basically. Might be Adams on the 10. Can't remember if it was Adams or Hamilton or whatever. A lot of different figures from the era. But Jackson wouldn't want to be on the currency. No, Andrew Jackson would rather be put on a pirate flag and flown behind the vehicle of some ANCAP or something like that. He would want to be the cool president who's remembered as sort of like a swashbuckler, sort of a cutlass-wielding, duel-happy weirdo, essentially. I think the dude was like 6'4" or something. So at the era, he would have been a full foot taller than most men. I mean, he was an incredible character. And you have like the suppression of certain Mesoamerican groups. Okay, there's a lot of death and suffering too. But then again, he fought alongside pirates and freed slaves at one point against the British, I believe. So that was pretty funny. I mean, but he wouldn't want to be on the 20. It would be too lamestream for him, and he doesn't like central banking. Like, he'd be rolling, when they implemented him on the 20, he rolled over in his grave. They should have attached a dynamo to him. We could have solved global warming. It's a free renewable energy forever. He wouldn't want to be on there. I just don't think that Harriet Tubman should be the one replacing him. Put Theodore Roosevelt on it. Why don't we put another U.S. president on it? It makes sense. Theodore Roosevelt was a cool cat. Theodore Roosevelt. Why not Martin Van Buren? That'd be funny. Then people could laugh. It would help raise the nation's morale to see a dude with that kind of hairstyle on, the bills that they use almost every day. Plus, it's funny when people take like money and then they change it a little bit to make it different. So they'll turn like Washington into a reptilian and stuff. They could do that more easily with Van Buren, I think. I'm surprised they haven't tried to put FDR on the currency. I think that Theodore Roosevelt should be chosen for it. Yes, I think that Theodore Roosevelt would find that funny. See, he would be on the opposite end. He would say, oh, they want to put me on the most popular piece of currency. Ah, Teddy out of nowhere. He was like sort of like a Trumpish figure at the time. He would actually enjoy that. But Jackson, he would want to burn the money presses. He would come in with a whip and it'd be like Jesus casting people out of the temple or some shit like that. Jackson was a weirdo when it came to that. And he wasn't entirely wrong, let's face it. But Harriet Tubman, there's no reason. She was an activistic figure, not a political figure. If you look at one of these things is not like the other, and I'm not talking about her race because that doesn't fucking matter. We've had Native Americans and stuff on currency for 200 years. It has nothing to do with it, but she was never in sort of a political arena. We've sort of gone full civic on our currency. Early on there was a lot of Native American iconography. Like if you look at the old pennies from, before the 1930s or so, thereabouts, I think. And it's like the Indian head penny. As it was termed. I used to have one of those. I lost it somewhere, which was really sad. It was sort of a lucky penny for me. I know they're not, particularly valuable because a lot of them were made. Now, by the way, a lot heavier because they were actually copper. Did you realize that, pennies are no longer copper? They're 95% zinc, right? They're basically fundamentally completely fucking worthless. That's about all. Peace out.